Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the second part of our video. Previously, we've done this question. So we've done 6.2. Looking at 6.2, first try to approach 6.2 first and see if you can be able to do the question. If not, you can pause from here, go to the previous video and watch how we did 6.2. That's when we were calculating future value of annuities, because we are still busy with annuities, right? Today we're going to look at 6.3. And for 6.3, the question reads, Thabo plans to buy a car that costs 250,000. He will pay a deposit of 15% and take out a loan for the balance. So from that 250,000 that Thabo needs for the car, he doesn't have the 250,000. However, he can manage to buy the he can manage to pay 15% of the 250,000, and then he will take a loan for the remaining balance after he had paid the 15% of the deposit. And the interest on the loan is 13% per annum, compounded monthly. Still, we do know our equations for present value of annuity and future value of annuity. Now let's see what this question holds for us. For 6.3.1, for 1 mark, we have to calculate the value of the loan that Thabo took. So we have to get the value of the loan which he will take after paying the 15% deposit, of which it should make sense by now that you just have to find out what is 15% of 250, and then you subtract the 15% from the actual price of the car. Let's do it. So as we can see, the car costs 250,000. However, Thabo managed to pay 15% of the 250 as a deposit. Now, let's investigate what is 15% of 250. To get 15% of 250, I'm going to multiply this by 15% divided by 100%. And this will give me the value of 37,500. So this means that the balance that is left off, it would be 250,000 minus the 37,000 that Thabo has paid as a down payment of 15%. And this will give us a value of 212,500. So the amount that Thabo will take out in order to pay the remaining balance of the car should be 212,500. Now for 6.2, the first repayment will be made 6 months after the loan has been granted. So this is a special type of a loan arrangement such that when Thabo takes that loan, for the first 6 months, he won't be liable for payments. There won't be payments for the first 6 months. However, the loan will be repaid over a period of 6 years after it has been granted, and we need to calculate the monthly installments. So we call this type of a loan deferred annuities because for the first 6 months, there are no payments. But we need to be smart about something. We need to ask ourselves, though we know that we have to calculate the loan repayment, which is X, in both our present value and future value of annuities equations. We have to get the value of X. But we have to ask ourselves also, are we dealing with present value of annuity or future value of annuity? And in this case, tell you what, like the example we made from the previous video, we said with present value of annuity, you are making the payments out of the account to pay for something. For this case, which is a perfect example of a loan. So now, if Tabo is making the payments, suppose he has a fixed account which he's taking the payments from. To pay the loan, he will make a payment out of the account to the loan. And then as he's making payments, we can see that payments are going out, paying the loan as it goes like that, and it goes like that. At the end of the period, when the payments are done, we can imagine that somehow there wouldn't be anything left in the account because Tabo would have paid out. In this regard, we know that we are talking about present value of annuities, not future value of annuities. So from the formula of P, we have to calculate the monthly installment X, which I believe it's going to make sense now. Now, for the fact that there is no payment for the first 6 months, that doesn't mean that there is no interest going on within that period. Interest is always accumulated, even for a period of when you are not making payments, as long as the loan has already been granted. Now, this perfect story reminds me of this one uncle from my neighborhood. As you can see there, Tabo got a loan whereby he's not liable for payments for the first 6 months. He's going to start paying only after 6 months. Now, I grew up in an era where the month of December, Christmas Eve was like the biggest event in the neighborhood. And it was a case where if you don't have that big mugongo, by the big mugongo, I mean that hi-fi system that would be needed for you to jam for December, you'd feel like a useless person. And it was hard for people to afford their mugongos way back then. So this one uncle in my neighborhood, they saw an ad whereby they were advertising a Wi-Fi stereo such that you don't pay for the first 3 months. You only pay after 3 months. And then that uncle was like, you know what? I'm very smart. I'm going to go take that hi-fi and I will sign to be liable to pay it for monthly basis. But then I'm just going to play the radio for the festive season only. And I will return it back because I won't have to pay for the first 3 months. And then I would have won because after January, who needs the Mugongo anymore? I will do the same probably for the following Easter. For the following festive. So that's what the uncle did. He went and signed up for the hi-fi and they gave him the hi-fi. And then when he tried to return the hi-fi after the Christmas Eve, he was told that he's still liable for a certain amount of interest that he had to pay back. Funny, right? Because you can't run away from interest. From the moment you sign that you are liable for this, or you are given this loan, or you are given this loan purchase, you are liable to pay for the interest, regardless of the terms when the interest is being accumulated or not, or whether you are making payments at a specific period or not. Now, let's look at this in the form of a timeline. What do we mean there are no payments for the first 6 months while there is still some interest that has been accumulated within the first 3 months? So actually, this is a distinction type of a question because you need to be sensitive about the time of when the payments started to happen, and you have to be sensitive about what is the interest that was accumulated before the payments started to happen. So now let's look at it in the form of a timeline. So now I'm going to show everything on my timeline. A timeline is more like a number line that shows the period of the whole 6 years of the loan. I know that a number line starts from 0. So Tabo is going to pay for the day the loan was granted, which is the 0 year. And then it's going to pay first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, up until the 6th year. These are the number of years that Tabo will make the payments. However, within the years, the payments are made in a monthly basis, such that the first payment will be done on the end of the month here. So first payment, second payment, third payment, fourth payment, fifth payment, sixth payment. However, for the first 1, 2, for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are no payments. Only after the 6 months, which is the 7th month, will Thabo starts making the actual payments there. And it would go like that for a period of 12 months per year. So every month, Thabo will be making payments. Every month, Thabo will be making 12 payments. Even though this is not accurate, but we know that in between the years, the payments would have been 12 months in between. So for the first 6 months, there was no payment there. So we can show that for the first 6 months, there was no payment that was made, and payment will only gonna be made after 6 months. So in reality, if the payments were made throughout the whole 6 years, we know that we were gonna have 6 years times 12 months, and 6 years times 12 months, it would be, say, it would be 72 months. But now this time around, it's not 72 months, because from the 72 months, we subtract the 6 months that Thabo was not making a payment. So for a period of 6 months, Thabo was not making a payment. So if Thabo was not making a payment for a period of 6 months, how many payments are made within the period of 6 years? And then that means the term of the payments that were made would be 5 years, 5 years plus 6 months. So it would be 5 of the remaining years plus the 6 months where he started to make the payments of that year. And to simplify this, it means the payments were made for, I would say, 5 plus 6 over 12, just to make it years all in all. Therefore, this is going to be 5 plus 1 over 2. 5 plus 1 over 2, you can think of it as either I say he made payments for 5.5 years. So Thabo made payments for 5.5 years because he was not paying for the first 6 months. So far, I know that the loan amount, which I'm going to use P because I'm looking at present value of annuities, I know that the loan amount that was granted is 212,500. This 212,500 was granted when Thabo applied for the loan to pay for the remaining amount of the car. Now, I want to know how much has the interest accumulated to when Thabo starts paying on the 7th month, because he has never paid for the first 6 months. I need to question what is the present value when he starts making the payments after 6 months. So for that 6 months when he was not paying, I need to calculate the accumulated amount such that I want to know this present value. How did it turn to be when he starts paying? So as you know, I have the formula for future value from the 0 month to the 6 months. I just want to know what's going to be the value there. And the formula that I'm going to use is this one. Because it is compounded, I will divide the compounding period on the interest, and I will also multiply the compounding period on the period of the 6 months. But now, I know that, again, for that period, I know that the term N is 6 months. But if I want to write 6 months yearly, 6 months, if I convert it to years, it's going to be 6 divided by 12, which is going to be just 1 over 2, if you look at it like that, which is half a year. So now I need to know, what did the amount of 212,500 got to be when interest included by the time Thabo starts paying? So if I calculate this, I will have that 212,500 multiplied by 1 plus the interest is 13%. So I will, after dividing it by 100, I will get 0.13 over, it is compounded monthly. The compounding period is 12 to the exponent 1 over 2, because that's half a year, multiplied by the compounding period, which is 12. Now, this is what's going to give me the amount that Thabo the amount of the loan by the time Thabo starts paying. So this is gonna be, if I punch it on a calculator, I will get that 226,692.04. Meaning this is the amount when Thabo starts paying. So that present value of the loan that he took, since there was no payments for the first 6 months, by the time he starts paying 6 months after, that present value has accumulated to 226,692 due to interest that was going on within the first 6 months. And then now I can go ahead and calculate the payments that were made for the remaining period. By the way, at this point, we know that the remaining period for the next years after 6 months, so it's going to be 6 months plus 5 years, whereby the term that I'm looking for the payments, now that it has accumulated to this, I know that it's going to be 5.5 years, which is 5 years, 6 months. Now I'm going to use my present value formula, because I know that present value is equals to X into 1 into 1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent negative n all over I. But because it is compounded, I know that my I will divide it by compounding period. And also here, I know that I will divide the I by compounding period. And then that means I will multiply the period with compounding period. I'll multiply the term with compounding period. So just to rewrite that carefully there, I would say this is going to be minus n times m, because I have to remultiply it by the compounding period. And I know that I'm just calling it T for term, but we can look at this as our n. So n is 5.5. And then our compounding period is 12, because it is compounded monthly. We know the present value. The present value is the amount that has accumulated after interest for the period of 6 months, which is going to be 226,692.04. This is equals to X, which is the payments that we have to calculate, into 1 minus 1 plus 0.13 divided by 12, because it's compounded monthly, multiplied by negative 5.5 times 12. Like that. This all over 0.13 divided by 12. And then from here, we just have to solve for the value of X of this. Now, if you simplify this part here and solve everything, we will get that X is equals to, I believe everyone can simplify this. You just have to use a calculator to multiply what you have there, divide it by that, and then you're going to divide the whole thing by that, such that X will be 4,825.54. So, the installments that Thabo will pay for the loan that he took, whereby the payments will start happening after 6 months, it's going to be 4,825.54 cents. So the moral of the story is, every time you are presented with a question and it is being said on that question that payments will only be made after a certain period of time, whether there won't be payment for the first 6 months, whether there won't be payment for the first 3 months, you must know that within that period when payments are not happening, there is still interest that is accumulated, because a loan is a loan. You are liable to interest for every month, even though there are no payments for that month. That was the trick about this question 6.2. And also to identify as to whether you are dealing with present value of annuity or future value of annuity, because both is equal payments done in equal months at the same period of time. But it happens that one situation, it could be a saving whereby you are putting money in an account such that at the end of the period there will be money on that account. Another one is paying off a loan, which is present value of annuity, whereby money is going out of the account such that if you imagine the situation, there wouldn't be anything left in the account at the end of the period. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us in all our social media platforms, and make sure you do inquire about our private lessons. We offer private lessons at a very reasonable fee. You can send us a WhatsApp or an email from any of these contacts. At the end of the day, I'm Mr. Maimane. This is Simplified RSA, and we are the guys who make it look easy to make sure that you are ready for those exams every time. See you next time.